Have you ever wondered why one currency, the US dollar, holds so much power over the entire world? Why do countries thousands of miles away from the United States still depend on the dollar? Why does a single decision by the US Federal Reserve shake stock markets, influence fuel prices, and even affect your grocery bill in another continent? This is not just a story about money. It's the story of how one nation's currency became the backbone of the global economy, and how that power affects everyday people, everywhere. Let's dive deep into the story of the dollar, how it came to dominate, and why its influence may last far into the future or face new challengers. Chapter 1: The Rise of the Dollar. To understand how the US dollar became the world's top currency, we have to go back, all the way to the early 20th century. Before the dollar's dominance, the British pound was king. The United Kingdom, with its vast empire, controlled trade routes, gold reserves, and most global banking. But two world wars changed everything. The US emerged from World War II as the strongest industrial and military power. Its economy was booming, and it held the largest share of global gold reserves. Europe was rebuilding. Many countries had lost financial stability. So, in 1944, world leaders met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to reshape the global economic system. The result? The Bretton Woods Agreement. It pegged global currencies to the US dollar, and the dollar itself was backed by gold. This made the US dollar the new standard for international trade. It wasn't just a financial shift, it was a shift in power. Chapter 2: From Gold to Trust. But something major happened in 1971. President Richard Nixon ended the gold standard. The dollar was no longer tied to a fixed amount of gold. Instead, its value would be based on trust in the US government and economy. This could have destroyed confidence in the dollar, but surprisingly, the opposite happened. By then, the dollar was so deeply embedded in global finance that no other currency could replace it. Countries still used it to buy oil, settle debts, and store reserves. US financial markets were seen as safe, deep, and open. Trust, not gold, now kept the dollar alive. And that trust still holds today. Chapter 3: The Dollar and the Global Economy. Here's where it gets personal. When the US prints more money or raises interest rates, the effects ripple across the globe. Developing countries borrowing in dollars suddenly face higher debt payments. Exporters in Asia, traders in Africa, and central banks in Europe all keep a close eye on the Federal Reserve's next move. Over 80% of global trade is invoiced in US dollars. More than 60% of all foreign reserves held by central banks are in dollars. Even countries that don't trust the US still rely on its currency. Why? Because the dollar offers stability, liquidity, a system that, for better or worse, works. Chapter 4: The Petrodollar Power. Let's talk oil. In the 1970s, after an oil crisis shook the world, the US struck a deal with Saudi Arabia and other oil producers. In simple terms, they'd sell oil only in US dollars. This petrodollar system meant that every country needing oil, which is almost every country, had to buy dollars first. This boosted global demand for the dollar even more, and it gave the US a unique kind of power, the power to influence energy markets and keep its currency in constant demand. Chapter 5: Everyday Impact. How it affects you. Okay, but what does all this mean for the average person? Let's say you're in India, Brazil, Kenya, or the Philippines. Your country imports fuel. That fuel is priced in dollars. If the dollar strengthens, your country has to pay more, and so do you. If your country has dollar-based debt, rising US interest rates can mean higher taxes, budget cuts, or inflation. Even your smartphone, assembled with parts from 10 different countries, is priced based on dollar-dominated global trade. So whether you like it or not, the US dollar plays a role in your daily life. Chapter 6: Why other currencies haven't replaced it. You might wonder, why hasn't any other currency taken the dollar's place? Well, several have tried. The euro, launched in 1999, was a strong candidate. But debt crises, political fragmentation, and uneven growth weakened its trust. China's yuan? It's growing, and no doubt. But China's financial system is tightly controlled. Investors prefer transparency and legal protections, something U.S. markets still offer more reliably. What about cryptocurrencies? They're innovative, but too volatile, too speculative, at least for now. So despite its flaws, the dollar remains the world's least bad option. Chapter 7: The Hidden Costs of Dollar Dominance. Of course, with great power comes hidden costs. For the U.S., dollar dominance creates a strange paradox. It allows the U.S. to borrow cheaply, but also leads to trade deficits. Why? Because global demand for dollars pushes up its value, making U.S. exports more expensive. Also, with so much money flowing into American markets, bubbles can form in housing, stocks, and beyond. For the rest of the world, it means being at the mercy of decisions made in Washington, D.C. A crisis in one U.S. bank can shake global markets. A political decision in Congress can affect foreign economies. Dollar dominance brings both stability and dependence, a double-edged sword.